Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start now.
Okay.
Okay, it's saying my desktop is now live. Hi, everyone. My name is Madison. I'm the marketing coordinator at the Business Software Center. Today is our Coffee Talk TBSC. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or YouTube using that hashtag. And in today's session, we're talking about the top fundaments of MSP Leadership Success. And I have a special guest, Ian Luckett from IT Experts. I do just want to let everyone know before we begin that we have the questions and answers section available on the right-hand side of your screen. So if you have any questions throughout this talk, please ask them, or you can email me info@businesssoftwarecenter.com. So just a little bit about Ian. He is an IT and MSP business growth expert with over 20 years experience. And so his key objectives are business support for IT and MSP businesses. So he helps them build confidence with newfound skills and helping them fill their sales funnels and lead and build high quality teams and run an efficient cost-focused business. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass over the talk to Ian. Go ahead, Ian, you can take it away.
Thanks, Madison. Thanks ever so much for this opportunity this afternoon. I've never done a live Teams before, so I'm quite excited about that. But it's great to be sharing some of the thoughts that's going on in the channel right now. I think, you know, we work with IT and MSP businesses, as you quite rightly said, and more what's coming out now is around leadership, and it's around the direction that the businesses are taking themselves. And as soon as they start to improve their leadership skills, what ends up happening is that all of a sudden the stuff that's filled their head in terms of the techie business owners starts to wave away a little bit, and they realize that they've got a business that they're operating and they're growing together, because the people are there to help with the team themselves. So we work with many different types of MSPs, in actual fact, from like one-man bands right the way up to 20, 30 employees. And it doesn't matter where you're at, everyone's a leader, everybody's a leader. And yeah, today we're going to be sharing our three different types of leadership, actually, which we've been developing with a new business partner of mine, a guy called Stuart Warwick, who's actually used to be direct competition, but we're now business partners, and we've now put together an amazing program for some of the larger MSPs. And the three leadership types we've identified is personal leadership, strategic leadership, and then team leadership. So there's kind of three different kind of top hats that sits onto this. So I mean, if it's okay with you, I can just talk through these, why these are important. We can have a conversation about, how these work, or we can just go through the points that we've got in here. It's completely up to you. We can take this as you will, Madison.
Right. I think going point by point would be really interesting, because this will really help future partnerships that we're looking to acquire with the Business Software Center. So yeah, please go ahead and go through the
Excellent. Well, I did a podcast a little while ago with Phil from the Business Software Center, and we're talking about Office 365, and the thing that's with that the MSP business owners do is they're happy places in the tech. Okay, so when they're talking tech, they're quite happy. When they're talking tech to tech, they're even happier. But if they ever want to have a difficult conversation with someone, or they ever want to have pull someone to task for their performance, then this can be really uncomfortable, and it's a place that they are not happy in. And some of the things that we've developed here at IT Experts are around these three different types of leadership. And the first one that we've developed, or we've identified, is around personal leadership. And what that means is whoever you are, wherever you are in business, whether you're the owner, whether you're a techie, whatever you're doing, it's around your personal vision. It's where do you want to go? What do you want to create? And many people who come into my world will sort of say, well, I want to grow the business. And I'll say, okay, what does that mean? And they'll go, I don't really know. Haven't really thought about it that much. Now, you're never going to fly a plane, drive a car, or sail a boat without a plan. So it's like we help them with their plans, and we help them put their plans together. And whether you're as I say, whether you're an individual or a business owner, you need to know where you're going. You need to know what direction you're moving in, and you need to know kind of where that's you're growing. Particularly if you might be an apprentice, then you might want to become a first line tech. You might want to become a project manager, or you might want to become someone else. But it's very important that we understand that personal vision and what you want to achieve.
I know that with the companies that we've worked with previously, they have different departments, and these departments, specifically the IT department, doesn't really align with a lot of the company goals, especially with finances. So there's a lot of overspending in the IT department. So it's really good to have a clear goal and then communicate that effectively to the rest of the departments.
100%, and I can relate exactly to that. And now I work with MSPs. I can look back at my previous career, and it was like they were almost like locked in another room, weren't they? Because no one really knew what they did. They spent an absolute bucket load of money, and they didn't really understand how important that was. But yeah, it's really important how those goals connect together. The second point is all around self-awareness and being aware of, and we use a coin of phrase called the shadow of the leader. So whoever you are in an organisation, if you walk in the door and your body language is really poor and your shoulders are slumped and you've just had an argument with your partner and the dog's got in the way, you bring that in the office, people are going to respond, and they're going to think that's all right because that's how we kind of behave. Likewise, I've worked with businesses, one business in particular where the CEO was absolutely mad as a box of frogs, is a phrase I'd use. And he was all over the place. He wasn't structured. He was very high energy, very flitty. And guess what? The whole company was, because the whole company was quite happy to behave like that. So really important that we understand our individual goals and our individual self-awareness as leaders and how that works. And understanding that leadership and understanding like your own development plan really is something we do. We use an advanced system of disc profiling for all our clients, because if I want to be a world-class coach, I need to know how to coach you. And if I don't know who you are, I don't know how you tick, and I can't help you understand how you're ticking and how you're working in certain situations, then we're not going to get where we need to be. So we've invested a lot of time in some really great profiling and understanding the third parties, doing the disc profile, looking at where your natural place is, where your if this was a writing competition for me to write this down in a book, Madison, you wouldn't see me for dust. But sitting here chattering away to you is very easy for me to do because that's my natural happy place. But kind of writing it down, and it's understanding kind of who we are in those situations where that's important for the personal life. And once you've sorted the personal leadership element out and you understand who you are, where you're going, and you're aware of yourself, and then you can move on to the next phase, which is strategic leadership. So strategic leadership is where we're now standing up in front of our teams, and we're now in front of our organisations, and we're looking at the first thing, which is around the company vision and values, and making sure that we have got everybody singing off the same hymn sheet, everybody aligned with the values of the organisation. We talk a lot about this. It's very, very hard to do properly. But also most MSPs don't really need to do it to the level of a big corporate organisation. They can just get away with just a quite high level, where we go in the next 3 to 5 years, what types of behaviours do we want to explain and share and grow with the culture of the organisation, and where do the values come in and how we measuring those. So that's really important in terms of the strategic leadership, the first part of the strategic leadership. The second one is about having the right people in the right job. So many times, particularly in the tech space, we'll bring someone in and they will perform a role and we'll just leave them to sit there, and we just think they'll be happy doing what they're doing. But doing skills matrix, proper target setting, proper employee engagement, having great conversations with them, working out where they want to go is really important, and understanding the structure. So making sure we've got the right people in the right jobs, training them if we need to, getting rid of them if we need to, bringing more in if we need to as well. And systemizing roles is a term that we use quite a lot, but if you're going to grow your help desk and you've got somebody who then needs to come in and bolster the help desk capability up, if it's systemized and you've got all the processes in place, then it's really easy to do it. If it isn't, because you haven't gone to the levels of doing that, then you're going to get involved as the business leader to organize things. So that's a second thing on the structure. And then the third section in strategic leadership is all around the strategic planning process. And what I mean by this is sitting down with your leadership team and being deliberate in what it is that you are trying to achieve as a business. So having a proper structured way to measure your KPIs, having a proper structured time out to spend working on the business strategically rather than in it technically. Quarterly meetings off-site, annual meetings off-site where you're looking at where's the business going, what do we need to do, and then that helps form the KPIs and that helps form the direction of the organisation from a strategic point of view to help you scale and grow. Exit, you might, really depends what you want to do. It kind of goes back to the beginning, which was all around that personal vision. So those are the three things that we talk about under strategic leadership. And then finally, we've got team leadership. So you've got yourself sorted out. We've got the organisation sorted out. And again, we go back into team awareness, which is again about self-awareness. Again, it's around the DISC profiles. It's around the understanding each other, knowing when someone's having a good day, knowing when someone's having a bad day, knowing when someone's struggling. We bring in employee engagement in here as well, which is really important as well. We talked a minute ago about setting the KPIs. How are we going to cascade those down through the teams? How do we know when someone's performing? How do we know when they're not performing? How do we know to recognise, bonus, congratulate, sack, whichever way around we want to look at it. So the second part is around team planning process and that goal setting. And that can be quite complicated, but it doesn't need to be complicated. It can actually be quite straightforward. And then having a proper employee engagement plan is something that's really important and very much often overlooked. And what this can mean is, you do, you've experienced this, have you?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've had jobs in the past that weren't related to IT. I worked at a fast food restaurant, and this is where they actually listened to us and saw where we were good working at the drive-through or behind in the kitchen. And so they would put you where you were strong at, not necessarily where you were happy at. Yeah.
And that's unfortunate because that's when you kind of get into a task-based scenario where people are just putting you there because that's the task that you want to do rather than the role that you're performing. And I was talking to some MSPs last week at an event, and they were talking about their measurements around their clients, and it was the amount of revenue and time they're spending with their clients as opposed to how many tickets you're closing, because closing tickets is a measure. It's not a measure of happiness. It's not a measure of delight. It's not a measure where you're going to go and get that next referral from either someone working in your organisation or from somebody who's actually going to be, potential client as well. So, employee engagement can be really, really simple. I would recommend everyone starts off with their vision and values and works through there, identifies the values, work out how you're going to measure the values, who's living the values, who's demonstrating the values, who's not, make those addressing points. Communication is really key, but consistent communication. And if you say you're going to do something, then do it. So if you say you're going to have a stand-up or a meeting at 5 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon or something like that, do it. Make sure you do it and make sure it's a good use of everyone's time and it's time scaled and you've given people the opportunity. As my late mum often said, and I still hear her saying it now, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, and there's a reason for that. You should listen twice as much as you're talking. Still haven't mastered that one, but it is important when you're either in early stages of leadership development or when you're in early stages of building a business and building a team that the employee engagement is you have a plan. It doesn't need to be complicated, just nice and straightforward. Someone said to me in my last job, how do you eat an elephant? In bite-sized chunks. All of this is a small piece, is building confidence in the teams. And that's what we do, that's what we do at IT Experts. We work with people on their business growth strategies, their sales and marketing, their leadership development, and a lot of the conversations that we have early on in their journeys are quite interesting because they're around productivity, and that's actually around leadership. It's around discipline. It's around doing what you should be doing. Nothing to do with growing your business. Nothing to do with being technical. It's just pure personal development. So, so hopefully that's those kind of 3 tips there are our pillar pieces of what we talk about. We talk about them all the time, all day long, and it's something we live and breathe here, and build that into everything that we do. It's kind of why we get up in the morning.
And I think it's all really valuable because it is the fundamental property of running a business in the first place. Is proper leadership is very important, and if you don't have that, a business can completely crumble. So
yes,
so it's really good work you're doing there.
No, that's great. And if anybody who's watching this wants to connect or learn more or consume some content, my happy place is LinkedIn. We're all over it, but we've also got like yourselves, YouTube channels, podcasts, all sorts of different things. Hit the website at innovate2success.com, and we can have a look and see what's there, what's relevant for you, and when you're ready, get in contact, because it is around when you're ready, at the time when people have sort of said, right, I've had enough of this, or whatever it might be. So hopefully that's been useful, Madison.
Yeah, that was a really good talk. Thank you so much for joining me today.
No problem at all.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and end it here. And if anybody needs to rewatch this, it will be uploaded on YouTube later on. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Fantastic. Thanks again. Bye now.